So I was really worried about doing this video because the last thing I want to do is cause offence, is make you feel as though I'm saying your bag or your piece of ready to wear or your shoes are ugly. I'm not saying that at all. That's not the whole purpose of this video. It literally just was to answer that one comment that I got, and I feel like I need to address it. The more fakes you see, the cheaper it becomes. Hey everyone, welcome to another video. My name is Sophie. If you are new, welcome, and if you're one of my regulars, welcome back. Let's talk about Louis Vuitton. I had a comment the other day under a video asking why it is that I don't really buy from there, and why when I do vlogs I don't give massive amounts of attention to the brand, although I sometimes do. I will say that I do. If I'm walking through Louis Vuitton in Harrods, let's say, I do always film it. It's just that I don't happen to walk through there a lot because it's not a brand that I'm into. So I'm going to explain to you why I used to be into the brand, why I'm not so much into the brand now, and what I think of it. So I have got probably the grand total of about 5 Louis Vuitton bags. I've got the Cannes bag there, Spring Street there, the Louis Vuitton Artsy there. No, that's not Artsy, that is Alma BB. I also have the Artsy bag and I have a My Lock Me bag. And I also have bought in the past the Louis Vuitton Bria, which is a bag that I've spoken about before because I low-key wish I didn't sell it. But that's a whole other topic. So this is why I'm not into the brand. I used to shop from Louis Vuitton loads, going back, how many years? Definitely going back 10 years ago, I was very into the brand, and I was just kind of starting on my handbag journey, my kind of journey to building up a collection. And Louis Vuitton, this is why I used to shop from there. I could afford it. Compared to all the other brands, Louis Vuitton was the most affordable, and it was from that kind of high-end French fashion house. You buy a bag from there, it's got an intrinsic value if you ever decide that you need to sell it for whatever reason in your life. And they were all the reasons why I used to shop from in there, because for under £1,000 you could get so much bag. And as I say, you've got that gravitas of the brand. Now for me, I feel as though the brand perception for me has changed over the years. I feel that Louis Vuitton used to be about classic shapes, classic styles. Occasionally they'd come out with those collaborations like the Murakami, is that what it's called? I'm not into Louis Vuitton, okay, so forgive me for this. But they used to come out with exciting collaborations, but it was kept to a minimal. In recent years, for me, the brand has slipped. For me, the brand has become a little bit garish. It has become they come out with bags that aren't classics, that are like one-offs, and then they're discontinued and you don't see them again. Or they come out with bags that are classics, but they're in like wacky colours and wacky designs. And this is just my opinion. I'm not trying to offend anyone. If you're into this, because obviously there's a big audience for it. You know, they wouldn't make it if people didn't buy it. If you're into this, I'm not suggesting that it's not nice. If you've owned one of these bags, I'm not suggesting they're not nice. I'm just saying that for my personal taste, they're not something that I would particularly go for. And that for me was the real turning point when I stopped shopping from Louis Vuitton. 3 things. First of all, when the prices started rising. The Alma BB that I've got here, I bought that back in 2016 and it was £650. And I remember looking at it the year before in 2015 and it was £450. So in 1 year, it went up quite a lot really, ratio percentage wise. But the price of it, it was still very much worth it. You still had a lot of bag for your money and you could still go into Louis Vuitton, put down £1,000 and come out with change, and you can't really do that anymore. Even the Alma BB now, I'll put the price in of what it is here. I still kind of think it's worth it, but it's just on the verge now of not really being worth it, because at the end of the day, it's canvas. It's not leather, it's canvas. Now the other big thing that really put me off, and this was a learning curve for me, but it's the hardware. If I give you an example of the Louis Vuitton Spring Street, so on this bag, you might be able to see, but the gold is not shiny, and that's because I've actually left the protective sticker on this bag that it came with when I bought it from the shop. And I did this because I've learnt my lesson with some of the other bags that I own, particularly the Louis Vuitton My Lock Me, I think it's called. That has scratched up so badly, and I bought that bag back in early 2019. I swear to God, I didn't actually use it that much, and the scratching has happened from the lock scratching on its own hardware. So the lock itself is the cause, is the reason for why this is scratched. Now, if you take the Dior Ultramatte, the Ultramatte has got a similar issue with it, where the handles on the Ultramatte actually scratches off over time. But what I will say with that bag is that for me personally, that bag is battered and bruised now. I use it. It's one of my most used bags. It fits so much. I can't tell you the amount of times I've used it, so I low-key would imagine it to do that. With these, I haven't really used them. They're basically new and they scratch so easily. So this is another reason why I was put off the brand, because I thought if I'm paying that kind of money, I want quality. And you know, we've spoken about Chanel before as well, and the quality of Chanel, and how I know that's putting a lot of you off. I think as the global cost of living crisis starts to hit, more of us are not going to be spending, saving more, but those of us who are still spending are going to be wanting and demanding higher quality, instead of just dropping all of your money on something that's really expensive and actually is quite rubbish. Now for the next reason why I went off the brand, I find that a lot of the stuff in Louis Vuitton can be quite garish. And that's just my personal take, okay, and there will be an audience for this stuff, of course there will, otherwise they wouldn't sell it. But for me, it's not my personal style. I don't like the loud colours, the illustrations, and the fact that although they do have a few classic bags, you know, they've got the Louis Vuitton Speedy, they've got the Neverfull, even to me the Capucines has now become a very staple classic, but they seem to come out with lots of like one-off designs that are in a crazy colourway that are discontinued a couple of seasons later. And if I'm going to buy a bag, and again this comes down to personal preference, but for me, I try where possible to buy classic so that that bag does not cease being made and then I'm left with something quirky. Now if I show you this bag, this is a Louis Vuitton bag from 2012, and this is a really good example of what I'm talking about. This was a bag that I should never have bought. It was really expensive at the time. It was around about £2,000, which in 2012 was so much money for a bag. So much money. But I bought it. I shouldn't have bought it. The canvas is starting to crack. I always was worried about dye transfer, so I never really used it. The metal hardware is so heavy on it, and it's also scratching really badly. But fundamentally, it's a style that they never did again, and it's become very dated looking. And I have thought about selling it, but whenever you don't see many of them online, which in one way probably is a good thing. But whenever I have seen them, they don't really go for much over £800. And for a bag that was £2,000 and is brand new, you know, I haven't really used it. It's not something that I really want to sell for that kind of money. So that's a really good example of what I'm talking about here, is buying a bag that's not a classic and then being stitched up and left with something that dates really badly and that you don't really want to use. And then the final thing that really put me off, and again this is going to be down to your perception on this, your take on this. Maybe you'll disagree, you might disagree, and in which case that's absolutely fine. You know, in these videos, these are really just my opinions. But to me, Louis Vuitton feels and looks a bit cheap. More so the canvas pieces. I think the LV monogram logo has been done to death on the fake market as well, which to me has also had an impact on the brand. Just my opinion. You might, as I say, completely disagree. but I feel seeing fakes all over the place has cheapened that monogram logo. And it's kind of like, when you see, let's say the Louis Vuitton Neverfull, that's a really faked bag. Even the Dior book tote, I see so many fake Dior book totes, and they're really obvious ones as well. I haven't yet seen one that's been really realistic, unless it's a super fake and I haven't noticed it at all. But I personally feel as though when you see something faked a lot, it cheapens it, and for me, it puts me off wanting to own it. I actually own the Dior book tote. I still love that bag and I use it a lot, but I feel, a bit like with Louis Vuitton, the more fakes you see, the cheaper it becomes, perception-wise, through your eyes. And that's, I feel like I keep needing to say this. This is just my opinion. You might completely disagree, but this is just how I feel about Louis Vuitton. I feel that if you go back 10 years, the brand used to be up here. It was kind of one of those classic French houses. I know it still is, but they had that something. They had that something that made them super premium. And now I feel that they've dropped and they've become fast luxury fashion, like a lot of these brands have, where they keep coming out with new things after new things very, very quickly in succession. If you have enjoyed this video, come and join me in another one. Now, I don't know how many of you saw it, but I did a video just a couple of days ago, and it was a vlog where I take you with me into Harrods, we go into Fendi, I'm trying stuff on, I'm showing you the new winter collection, including Fendi's new designer bags for that winter collection. Yes, there are new ones out, they're fresh, they look modern, they look classic, they look stylish. If you want to come and join me in that, click up here and come and join me here. If you want something a bit different, I'll put another one here and you can join me in that. Thank you again, and I will see you in, hopefully, in one of these videos.